Korea hides legends where women refuse to rest. They return not as whispers of memory, but as living shadows dressed in white, veiled in red, or cloaked in black. Their presence is not bound by temples or old graves. They walk the streets, slip through alleys, and enter your path when the night grows quiet. These figures are not stories of the past. They are still here, waiting for anyone reckless enough to notice them. The first is sorrow itself, the Chianyagwasin, the virgin ghost. She is the embodiment of unfulfilled lives, condemned to wander, dressed in funeral white. Her hair falls loose, her eyes hollow, her silence unbearable. She is not a tale to frighten children, but a presence felt in empty schools, abandoned hospitals, and the dreams of the living. She does not fade with time. She grows heavier, feeding on grief, waiting for someone to look back. Then comes the Red Mask Woman. She does not need the ruins of history. She thrives in modern streets, behind surgical masks that hide what cannot be unseen. Her voice is soft, but her question is a trap. Am I beautiful? There is no right answer. Once you answer, her mouth splits from ear to ear, and you belong to her. She is not folklore. She is every stranger who passes you at night. And there is the lady in black, the silence among shadows. She is seen on deserted streets, long past midnight, her face always hidden. Some believe she follows those already lost. Others claim she leads the living into alleys that should not exist. No one who tries to follow her comes back unchanged. She does not need to speak. Her presence is enough to strip away the thin barrier between the living and the void. These women are bound not by names, but by absence. They are sorrow without closure, beauty turned into horror, and silence that swallows every step. They are the reason Koreans still avoid certain roads, refuse to look too closely at masked strangers, and fear the black shape lingering at the edge of the night. To meet them is not to see a ghost. It is to face a truth that cannot be undone once known. Tonight, you will hear their stories, the virgin ghost, the Red Mask Woman, and the Lady in Black. 3 disturbing Korean female urban legends that have terrified generations and continue to haunt streets, schools, and memories. If you dare, stay with us until the end. And if you survive the silence that follows, subscribe to Echoes of the East and tell us where you are watching from. If you still wish to be found. The Chianyagwasin is not merely a ghost, but sorrow given form. In Korean tradition, women who died unmarried or betrayed carried their pain into death. Dressed in white funeral clothes, with long hair unbound, they wander through abandoned schools, forgotten hospitals, and rural paths. They are not protectors, nor demons, but raw grief that refuses to end. Their presence lingers like a wound that will not close, infecting every space with unrelenting silence. Her pale figure is described as unbearably still, standing in corners where light bends unnaturally. Witnesses claim her eyes hold nothing human, only emptiness that swallows you whole. Unlike other spirits, she rarely screams or attacks. Her silence is worse, a suffocating weight pressing on your chest until breath itself feels stolen. To see her is to lose warmth, to feel your life pulled into the same unfinished void that created her sorrow. Legends say, the Chianyagwasin often appears in schools late at night. Students alone in empty classrooms report hearing the faint swish of fabric behind them. Others see a figure watching from windows of locked rooms. When teachers investigate, nothing is found, yet the air reeks of damp earth, like soil freshly turned for burial. What terrifies survivors most is the sense she was not observing. She was waiting, measuring the distance before stepping closer. In rural towns, abandoned hospitals carry her shadow. Locals whisper about beds where patients saw women in white staring silently, never blinking, never leaving. Some believe these hospitals became prisons for spirits like her, trapped by grief too heavy to cross over. Explorers who enter these ruins describe sudden cold, cameras failing, and the overwhelming urge to leave. Yet when they run, they hear bare feet following, matching every frantic step with dreadful calm. Dreams are her favorite doorway. Many Koreans insist that once you think of the Cheonyeguisan too long, she enters your sleep. Victims report waking to see her standing at the foot of their bed, unmoving, her loose hair framing a face drained of all life. Her silence is unbearable, yet they cannot move, as though the weight of her grief pins them down. By morning, they are left weaker, drained of something unnamed. What makes her terrifying is not violence, but inevitability. The Cheonyeguisan does not rush her victims. She lingers, returning night after night, until even waking hours feel poisoned by her presence. People begin to see her reflection in glass, her outline in crowds, her shadow sliding just behind theirs. At first dismissed as imagination, the sightings grow until the victim feels hunted everywhere. Escape is impossible, because she attaches herself to grief already within you. Stories describe her touch as cold, yet not solid. Survivors claim she brushed their arm or face, leaving behind frostbite-like burns. Others insist she pressed her hand to their chest, stealing their breath while their hearts slowed painfully. Doctors never find physical wounds, only unexplained weakness and terror. Some victims never recover, unable to sleep again without lights. To them, the Cheonyeguisan is not legend, but the reason their life became a waking nightmare. Parents in Korea warn daughters with her story, telling them not to linger alone near schools or hospitals. Yet the Cheonyeguisan is not a simple morality tale. Her sorrow is so strong it poisons anyone, regardless of purity or fault. She represents lives denied choice, futures taken away. The horror is not that she appears, but that she forces the living to carry the weight of tragedies that never found release or forgiveness. One well-known story tells of a soldier on leave who entered an abandoned dormitory. He reported hearing laughter upstairs, though the building was empty. When he investigated, he found a woman in white, her back turned, hair cascading down. She said nothing, yet as he fled, she appeared at every stairwell before him. By the time he escaped, his uniform was soaked in sweat, though the night air was frozen with unnatural cold. Another tale comes from hospital staff in Seoul. A nurse working night shift swore she saw a woman standing at the end of a hallway, barefoot, her white robe dragging across the floor. When she approached, the figure vanished. Later that night, she entered a patient's room to find the same woman staring into the mirror. The reflection showed her face, gray and hollow, though in reality, no features remained, only smooth pale skin. Folklorists interpret the Cheonyeguisan as a warning of how grief can consume the living as well as the dead. In Korea, funerals and rituals exist to give closure, but when denied, the spirit festers. These ghosts embody everything unfinished, love never spoken, promises never kept, justice never served. Unlike monsters, they cannot be defeated. They are reminders that human sorrow, if ignored, becomes something enduring, something that will follow across generations, never silenced. Witnesses speak of strange phenomena, sudden illness, mirrors cracking, or photographs ruined with ghostly white blurs. Families whisper that once she enters a home, it grows colder, never safe again. Leaving does not ensure escape. Some say she follows into new apartments, crowded streets, into every shadowed corner. Her grief clings like smoke, impossible to wash away, demanding constant remembrance. Though most fear her, some pity her. Stories describe people offering prayers or leaving food, hoping to ease her suffering. Yet those attempts rarely succeed. The Cheonyeguisan does not want comfort. She wants witnesses. She wants the living to know her pain, to feel the sharp void of a life unfinished. To look into her eyes is to see your own sorrow reflected, magnified until it threatens to devour what remains of you. The Cheonyeguisan endures because she is universal. Every culture fears the ghost of grief, yet in Korea, she is shaped by centuries of silence, forced upon women. She is both legend and truth, haunting alleys and dreams alike. When you hear fabric brushing softly behind you, or sense a figure in the corner of a room, thought empty, remember this: you cannot outrun sorrow. The virgin ghost is already near, and she never leaves. She does not appear in ruins or temples, but in crowded streets. A woman wearing a simple surgical mask approaches you, her steps strangely soundless. She blocks your path, tilts her head, and in a soft voice asks one question: "Am I beautiful?" Her presence feels normal at first. Then silence stretches, and you realize her eyes do not blink, her body does not shift, and escape has already become impossible before you speak. The red mask woman thrives on the illusion of choice. If you say yes, she removes her mask, revealing a mouth torn wide from ear to ear, jagged as if carved by rusted blades. If you say no, her face twists in rage, and she attacks with vicious speed. Some claim she carries scissors, others swear her nails are enough. Either way, there is no correct answer. Her trap lies in asking you at all. Legends tie her to the cruelty of beauty standards. Some say she was a wife disfigured by her jealous husband. Others believe she was mutilated during surgery gone wrong. Her vengeance is endless, punishing strangers for a world that once punished her. Modern streets, neon lights, and buzzing cars do not protect you. She walks among people, invisible until she chooses you. Every masked stranger at night could be hiding her eternal question. Witnesses insist her movements are uncanny. She glides more than she walks, her head cocking at unnatural angles, as if her neck were broken. Her voice is soft, but beneath it trembles something animal, something hungry. The mask she wears is always too clean, too perfect, hiding the horror beneath. Those who hesitate to answer claim her eyes widen, dark and hollow, pulling them into an abyss where sound and thought collapse completely. Children were the first to fear her. In schoolyards, they whispered warnings. If a woman in a mask approached, you must run before she spoke. Teachers dismissed the tales until reports spread of students arriving home late, their faces pale, their clothes torn. They said she followed them from alleys, asking again and again, "Am I beautiful?" When parents searched, they found nothing, only silence, as if the streets themselves refused to reveal her. The cruelty of her game lies not in death, but anticipation. Survivors claim she repeats the question endlessly, even after you answer. She leans closer, her masked breath hot against your ear, whispering, "Am I beautiful? Am I beautiful?" Until reality fractures. Some collapse screaming, others freeze, their minds shattering under the pressure of being unable to leave. The mask is not her prison, it is yours, wrapped around your fear until it's up. A taxi driver once told of a woman hailing him late at night. She wore a mask, sat silently in the back seat, and gave no destination. When he finally asked where she wished to go, she leaned forward and whispered, "Am I beautiful?" Terrified, he turned to see her mask slipping, revealing the grotesque smile beneath. He abandoned his car in the middle of the road, running until his lungs bled, never driving again. Another story speaks of a man walking home from a bar. A woman in a mask blocked his path. He laughed, assuming it was a prank, until she repeated the question, her tone colder. When he answered yes, she removed her mask. His body was found days later in an alley, throat slashed open. Locals swore they saw scissors gleaming in the dark, but police dismissed it as rumor. Her legend only grew stronger. What terrifies most is how modern she feels. She belongs to now, walking streets filled with cameras and crowds, yet no recording captures her. Survivors insist they saw her, spoke to her, fled from her. But when footage is checked, she is gone. Only the victim remains, talking to emptiness, screaming at shadows. It is as if the world itself refuses to acknowledge her, allowing her to exist only for those she chooses. Psychologists call her an urban myth, fueled by paranoia. But in Korea, her name is spoken quietly, as if summoning her by accident is possible. Children refuse to play outside after dark. Mothers warn daughters not to meet masked strangers. And men walking home late avoid eye contact with anyone covering their face. The fear has seeped into everyday life. Every surgical mask on the street is a reminder of her waiting smile. The most chilling accounts describe her persistence. Once she finds you, she returns night after night. She appears at your door, in reflections, at the end of empty hallways. She repeats her question with endless patience, eroding your mind until your answer no longer matters. Some victims vanish entirely, their apartments left unlocked, shoes by the door, meals unfinished. Neighbors whispered they were taken by the red mask woman, their voices swallowed by her smile. For many, the legend is a mirror of modern dread. Masks hide faces, but also intentions. The red mask woman thrives in uncertainty, where every polite stranger could be her. She embodies fear of vulnerability, of answering wrongly, of being trapped in a world where no choice keeps you safe. She is not just a ghost. She is the cruelty of appearances sharpened into a blade, waiting patiently behind the false comfort of cloth. Even when dismissed as rumor, the unease remains. In Korea, countless people admit to feeling watched by masked strangers. A glance held too long, a silence too heavy, a figure lingering where none should be. It may be coincidence. It may be imagination. Yet once you know her story, you begin to look closer at every mask around you. And the moment you meet her eyes, you know the question will follow. The red mask woman is terrifying because she could be anyone. A shadow at the corner of the street, a figure in a bus seat, a face across the subway. She asks nothing complicated, only for an answer you cannot give. Am I beautiful? The moment you reply, she decides your fate. And when she leans closer, masks slipping away, you understand too late that beauty has become the sharpest weapon of all. She is not spoken of loudly, for her name alone chills the air. The lady in black does not scream, does not chase. She appears on deserted streets after midnight, a tall figure cloaked in black, face always hidden. Witnesses claim she drifts at the edges of vision, waiting until you notice. To see her directly is to invite her attention, and once she acknowledges you, silence becomes your only companion. Unlike other ghosts, she does not appear in ruins or hospitals. She belongs to modern Seoul, slipping between alleys where neon fades into shadow. People walking home late describe seeing her at intersections, unmoving, as if blocking their way. If they cross the street, she follows. If they run, she glides behind them, without sound. Her footsteps are never heard, yet her presence presses heavily, as if the night itself has grown alive. The terror lies in her restraint. She does not attack. She waits. Her stillness forces you to confront her, to decide whether to approach or flee. Witnesses who tried to see her face report a blur, as though reality itself bends around her. Others say her head tilts slowly, unnaturally, like a broken marionette. The moment you meet her hidden gaze, disorientation strikes. Streets twist, alleys stretch, and familiar landmarks vanish without explanation. One student walking home claimed he followed her out of curiosity. She turned into an alley that seemed too long, too narrow. The further he walked, the colder the air became, until his breath froze. When he turned back, the street behind him was gone. All that remained was endless black. He ran forward, desperate, until suddenly he stumbled out into another neighborhood, miles away, with no memory of how he escaped. Others insist she is a guide for the lost, but her guidance is cruel. A man searching for his missing friend swore he saw her leading someone down a narrow road. He followed, only to find the figure alone. The lady in black vanished, and his friend was never seen again. Police found no trace, no evidence of abduction, only the strange testimony of a man who swore she had taken him away. Witnesses described time behaving strangely in her presence. Minutes feel like hours. Streetlights flicker, shadows lengthen, and the silence thickens until even the sound of your own footsteps feels smothered. Some survivors claim they walked for hours, only to emerge back where they started. Others say entire nights passed in her company, though clocks proved only minutes had gone by. Her world is not governed by time. She bends it, stretching fear into eternity. Unlike the virgin ghost, she carries no visible grief. Unlike the red mask woman, she offers no question. The lady in black embodies absence itself. Her silence is a demand, forcing you to fill it with dread. Her faceless presence denies humanity, reminding you that what stands before you is not alive, not dead, but something in between. She does not punish. She erases, leaving behind only confusion and the gnawing certainty of being watched. Some survivors claim she enters dreams. In sleep, they wander empty streets until they see her figure at the far end. No matter how fast they run, she is always closer. Some wake drenched in sweat, others paralyzed, seeing her standing in their room. These dreams persist for weeks, leaving victims sleepless, drained, unable to tell where nightmare ends and reality begins. The lady in black is patient. She thrives in blurred boundaries. Folklore traces her to women who died forgotten. Widows, abandoned lovers, victims of betrayal who were denied burial rites. Cloaked in mourning black, they returned not to seek vengeance, but to share their emptiness. Her faceless void is a reflection of their erasure, a reminder that lives once ignored return to consume the living. Whether myth or truth, she represents a fear deeply Korean, the terror of vanishing without recognition, without remembrance. Drivers at night sometimes report her crossing the road slowly, head lowered, hands clasped. They brake in panic, only to find the street empty. Yet their cars stall, engines dead, radios hissing with static. One man swore he heard breathing in the back seat, but no one was there. When the engine finally started again, the passenger seatbelt was buckled, though he had been driving alone. He never drove that route again. Unlike most spirits, she does not fade when ignored. Survivors say she follows from a distance for days, appearing across streets, in reflections, or standing beneath their window. She does not knock, she does not speak. She simply waits, eroding their sanity. People describe losing track of time, forgetting conversations, feeling drained. She does not kill. She dismantles identity slowly, leaving behind husks of people who no longer know where fear ends and self begins. A chilling tale comes from a woman who saw her in a subway station after midnight. The lady in black stood at the far end of the platform. When the train arrived, the woman boarded quickly. Through the window, she saw the lady still standing. But when the doors closed, the lady appeared inside the car, seated across from her. She fainted, and when she awoke, she was still riding, the train completely empty. Psychologists dismiss her as sleep paralysis, collective paranoia, or distorted memories of strangers seen at night. Yet the lady in black defies simple explanation. Too many accounts align: the silence, the disappearance of streets, the vanishing of time. Skeptics call her urban legend, but those who saw her carry permanent scars. They avoid empty roads, cover mirrors, and live in fear of shadows. Doubt is useless once you've seen her. Silence itself becomes haunting. The lady in black lingers because she is absence personified. She is the fear of being erased, the dread of walking streets that forget you exist. She offers no scream, no bargain, no escape, only silence, endless and consuming. When midnight streets grow too quiet, when you feel eyes behind the dark, remember this: she does not hunt, she waits, and once you notice her, you will never walk alone again. The virgin ghost, the red mask woman, and the lady in black are not simple tales. They are reflections of fear, buried deep in Korean, memory grief denied, beauty twisted into horror, silence stretched into eternity. To hear their stories is to feel them stir, to realize these women are not bound by history. They belong to now, breathing in shadows, waiting in streets, haunting every moment where the living dare to look back. What unites them is not their form, but their hunger. They are echoes of abandonment, punishment, and erasure. The more they are spoken of, the more they linger, as if each whisper feeds their existence. You may think of them tonight, laugh nervously, dismiss them as myth. Yet when silence deepens, when shadows stretch, and when footsteps feel too close, you will remember their names. And in that moment, they will already be near. These are 3 disturbing Korean female urban legends, feared not because they belong to the past, but because they walk beside the present. If you have the courage, share which haunted you most. Subscribe to Echoes of the East for more stories, whispered from darkness, and tell us where you are watching from. But know this, the moment you speak of them, you have already invited their gaze into your life.